Life table for female Beldings ground squirrels. This life table contains information on survival and reproduction in a population of Beldings ground squirrels. Notice that only the females in the population were studied. This is because reproductive information is much easier to track in females since they produce offspring directly. To construct the table, researchers focused on a single cohort, a group of individuals of the same age. They followed this cohort through time from birth until all individuals had died. Each row contains data for the cohort of female squirrels in a specific time interval. The first row shows data for the cohort in the first year, year 0 to 1. And the next rows show year 1 to 2, year 2 to 3, and so on. Some columns contain data collected directly by the researchers. These include the number of females from the cohort that were alive at the start of the year and the average number of female offspring produced by each member of the cohort during that year. The other data shown here are calculated from the number alive at the start of each year, as you'll see. At the beginning of the study, year 0 to 1, the cohort included 653 female squirrels. By the next year, there were only 252 1 to 2-year-olds alive. And the year after that, there were 127 2 to 3-year-olds alive. Of the original cohort of 653, how many female squirrels were still alive at the beginning of year 6 to 7? There were 9 female squirrels alive at the beginning of year 6 to 7. The proportion alive at the start of the year is calculated from the number alive at the start of each year. In the first year, all 653 squirrels were still alive at the start of the year, so the proportion alive is 653 divided by 653, which equals 1. In the second year, 252 squirrels were alive at the start of the year, so the proportion alive is 252 divided by the original number in the cohort, 653. 252 divided by 653 equals 0.386. The rest of the numbers in this column are calculated the same way. What equation can you use to calculate the proportion alive at the start of year 4 to 5? "35 squirrels were alive at the start of the year, and you divide that by the original number of 653 to get 0.054. The death rate is the proportion of squirrels that died that year. How do you calculate the death rate? Again, we use the data collected for the number alive at the start of each year. We know how many squirrels died the first year because we started with 653 and 252 made it to the next year. This means that 653 minus 252, or 401 squirrels died that year. The death rate is the number of squirrels that died divided by the number alive at the start of the year, so 401 divided by 653, which equals 0.614. The data in the last column are the average number of female offspring per female squirrel in the cohort. For 0 to 1-year-old females, the average number of offspring was 0. Between the ages of 1 and 2, each female squirrel had an average of 1.07 female offspring, and so on. By summarizing this information about births, deaths, and reproduction in a population, a life table helps ecologists understand current population structure and may help predict future trends.